Hi, everyone. Welcome to the office. Today, we will be talking about compound statements and connectives, logical connectives. Let's get started. Okay, so compound statements and connectives. Now, just like in English, right? We have these things called simple statements that convey only one idea without connecting words. For example, statement P said, I bought ice cream at Skinny Mite's Hawaiian ice cream shop. And then this simple statement Q says, I went to the movies. Now, a compound statement is formed by combining those two or more statements together, simple statements together, right? So how do we combine P and Q? We could have something like this. P and Q, and that statement will read, I bought ice cream at Skinny Mite's and went to the movie. Okay, then the word N is what we call a connective, a logical connective. And there are 4 of those logical connectives that we see here in this class. The word and, okay, the logical symbol for that is that upside down V looking thing. The word or, and the logical symbol for that is the right side up V looking shape. If then is arrow one way, and then if and only if means goes both directions, so the arrow goes both ways. Okay, so those are how you would write these words in logic. Okay, now for example, if the compound statement is, I'd like to eat apples and bananas. Okay, so there's the word and there, right? So we know that's a compound statement. In this compound statement, you have 2 simple statements. Statement A is, I like to eat apples. And statement B is, I like to eat bananas. So that compound statement, I like to eat apples and bananas, is translated into the symbolic form of A and B. And that's how you would write that. And that's how we read that. A and B. Okay. In this example, let's say the simple statement P is, a person is logical. And the statement Q is, a person makes sound arguments. What would we say if we were asked to translate if P, then Q? We would say, if P, then Q is, if a person is logical, then they make sound arguments. Okay, and that's how you combine simple statements together using logic connectives. Now, just kind of like order of operations, you know, like the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, you have order of operations, right? So here we do have the order of logical connectives. So we know how to operate, which one to deal with first, okay? And we call that dominance of logical connectives. So that means you'll perform negations first, and then and or is the second level. Then third level is if then, and then the 4th level is if and only if. Okay, now what does that mean? How do we use these order right? For example, if you have that logic statement, that is a compound statement, right? And you see if then, you see and you see negation. So the first order applies. So you would say negation first, and second, and then the last, which is what we would say the most dominant, is if and only if. Okay, that would be your third step. Okay, now in the case where you see this, okay, P and Q or R, well, in number 2 there, it's said that they are in the same order, right? So this is the ambiguous case where you have to use grouping symbols to the statements so that people know what you mean. So in this case, you could mean P and parentheses Q or R, so that means Q or R first, and then the and second. Or you could mean P and Q, and then or R. Okay, so grouping symbols, parentheses, bracket, whatever you want to do, help clarify these order of connectives, just like order of operations that you need, or parentheses, right? Okay, so let's translate some words into symbols. For example, I miss class if and only if it is not true that both I like the teacher and the course is interesting. So let's go and define our simple statements first. Statement P, I miss class. Statement Q, I like the teacher. Statement S, is the course is interesting. Okay, so those are the 3 simple statements that I see in that compound sentence. Okay, now let's look at the logical connectives. We would see if and only if. We see not. And then let's keep in mind that word both. Not true that both. Okay, and then the last logical connective is and. Okay, so let's translate that. I miss class, that's P. If and only if, that's the double arrow. It is not true, that's the negation, that I like the teacher and the course is interesting. What does the word both have to do with this? That's the grouping symbol that's the parentheses, okay? That means it is not true that both Q and R. So Q and R would be inside the parentheses, okay? Now let's go the other way around. If that is your symbolic form, and those are your statements. R is we go to the beach. P is we finish studying, and P is the temperature is above 85 degrees, and Q is we finish studying. So how do you translate that symbolic form right here into words? And yes, we would say we will go to the beach if and only if the temperature is above 85 degrees and we finish studying. We're so spoiled here in Hawaii, right? Not gonna go to the beach when it's cold. Okay, that's it for today. Awesome. See you next time.